Now, there are people that talk of flying saucers that land here on Earth. And they go to some farmer, you know, and they take him into the saucer, and they do all kinds of experiments on them. Now, first of all, people do not travel hundreds of millions of light years to pick up some farmer and ask him what kind of suspenders he wears. Carl Sagan wanted to communicate with extraterrestrials. He hoped that they, in turn, would communicate with us. Now, you know that the Republicans can't communicate with the Democrats. You know that husbands and wives have difficulty in communicating. Children and parents have difficulty because the language we use was designed a long time ago. And it is inherently difficult to get ideas across in the language that we use today. However, when engineers meet and talk, they speak a different language. One engineer might present a very thin cable and says, this can support 5,000 tons. And the other engineer says, what's its tensile strength? And he's given that information. Then he puts it in a machine. I don't know whether you knew this. And he snaps it to make sure that it holds to that. When engineers design an airplane, off. And after all their calculations, and after they're certain, they then pile sandbags on the wing. Did you know that? Until it breaks off to make damn sure that it does the job. Now, that does not exist in everyday language. In everyday language, you don't have that ability. When an engineer meets another engineer, he says, I can illuminate an area with this tiny point of light that has 50,000 square feet. The engineer says, well, that's not possible. He doesn't talk like that.
Yeah, you see what he's talking about is with.
He says, how do you power that unit? What kind of voltage does it take? How do you illuminate that spot?
Yeah, see, he's talking about that engineers, when they communicate information and debate about something, they have a way of testing what they're debating. Like he says, like the guy does his calculations for how much weight the wing of an airplane can support, and the other guy can say, oh, that'll never fly or it'll never hold, but he can test it. He can put sandbags on it until it finally breaks and say, look, it'll hold until that point. We know damn sure it'll hold to that point. But we get people that go into court these days and they start arguing about arguments. They start arguing about the meaning of words. They start debating about a topic or subject that wasn't even the main thing in the first place. Like somebody will say something like this person wants to take all the credit for a job that 50 people did. And so he goes, oh, and somebody else says, yeah, he just wants to be the one and only in the spotlight and just push everybody else to the side. And he's like, he's just they'll steer the argument away from what's actually being debated than to actually debate the topic at hand.
Long time. That is a language of war, of hatred, of bigotry, of prejudice, the inability to ask questions. And we've got to be very careful about that. And at one lecture I remember at Princeton, I was trying to say that human beings cannot think or reason. This is a psychology department and sociology. It appeared on the wall of the country if there was a hole in the barn wall, a camera without a lens.
Yeah, this is where he goes in and he talks about how it takes a lot of ingenuity and a lot of different details in order to make something like a camera. But what he says about language back there and what he says about communication, really, he has a strong point where people will argue about words. They'll argue about meanings of words. They'll argue about, words of words and just things that just get so disconnected from the actual topic that you're trying to debate, and then you'll find yourself arguing about something that wasn't even the original thing to begin with. So when you're in a dilemma like that where you're just going back and forth, like, what was the example? Like, somebody's in court for like, say, some sort of not paying a ticket or something like that, and the district attorney gets up there and he points out he didn't pay his taxes last year. Well, his taxes have nothing to do with the court case itself, but what he's trying to do is post a negative image on the guy to make him look bad, to get everybody to think that he's trying to cheat on the bill the ticket that he didn't pay. It's by saying that he didn't pay his taxes last year and that he's trying to theft. He's trying to make him look like a thief that's stealing from the government, and that's not even part of the original debate, not even part of the original argument. The other person may have a reason why he didn't pay for the ticket. He may have been out of town. He may have not have been available. He may have not even had the funds, But the fact that he didn't pay his taxes may had nothing to do with the reason he got the ticket in the first place. But they'll bring in a topic like that to an argument just to try to get the upper hand on the original topic, which has nothing to do with the secondary topic. It's just to attack the other person in a negative way, and it's really difficult to exchange ideas and communicate in debates when people argue like that. When people will put up negativity about a person to try to change people's outlook on them, to try to make them lose a debate. It's like the debate should not be about the people debating. It should be about the topic that is being debated. It's like if like in the movie The Great Debaters, was it Denzel Washington? Was there one point in that movie where the people that are debating started attacking each other individually? Like, they'll be like, this person says this about the affirmative, or this person says this about the negative, or whatever, and their debate is always against the topic, the affirmative, the negative. They don't go, well, this guy didn't, he lost the debate. He didn't make the debate team last year. What makes him think he's going to make it this year? This guy didn't even pass his vocabulary class. How does he think he's going to win a debate? Like, that's attacking the person individually, trying to make him look bad in front of the audience, and that's a deliberate attack on the person to try to win a debate that's not even part of the topic. When you argue and debate, especially in a court, it should remain on topic, and things that aren't on the topic should not be even brought into the case unless they have some sort of connection to it. And this is what we have major communication problems in the world today. And I just wanted to show this clip with Jacques Fresco about his language and communication and how engineers talk. Because engineers, when they discuss and debate things, they have ways of testing what they're debating. In reality, when people are arguing about definitions and words and things that are just inside our heads, there is no testing and proving and making and proving fact and saying this is for sure correct, or this for sure will hold, or this for sure 100% is going to be this. There's no part of that when you're just all you're debating is just words and definitions that are inside your head. You get nowhere with it. And that's, like he said, that's the language of war, that's the language of misery, that's the language of poverty, that's the language of just every single court case that was non-justified, that the person that won the court case was not the person that was supposed to win, basically. A non-justifiable justice system is our biggest example of how that works. Language fails big time when it comes to court cases, even though they try to, like, can say one word in a courtroom and it could have up to like 12 different definitions. Just one word, like the word record, or the word charge. Like you could charge somebody like you're charging at somebody. You could charge somebody like you're charging somebody's credit card. You could charge something like you're charging a battery. You could, um, there's one word can mean so many different things, and unless you specify exactly what that word means in a courtroom, then you could misrepresent what you're trying to say, and what you say could have the completely total wrong meaning in the court when you think you're saying the right thing. That's another example of how old the language is that we use. We have multiple definitions for one word, which seems kind of silly. Like, how can we have one word mean so many different things? Couldn't we just come up with different words for the different meanings? Why does one word have to have so many different meanings? It's because our language is very old. We have not updated our words in our language for a long, long time, and we still to this day use words in our language to try to keep ourselves from being imprisoned and physically, um, you know, attacked by people of authority. They use words to try to imprison us in our minds and imprison us in our homes, and they try to use their language to try to imprison us out there on the roads when we just are trying to transport ourselves around the cities. And all they use is words and the flip of a pen to take away your freedom or take away your wealth. And it's because the language that we use is very old and has not been updated for a long time. And I'm not really trying to present a solution to this problem, but I think people need to become more aware of it, because you can find yourself arguing about the wrong things if you don't pay attention to what the topic of the debate or argument is actually about. So I just needed to post this just to get that out there and clear.